All right, hello and welcome to Swing It and Ding It, an iHeartMedia podcast. This is Moose along with Harry Mays. Harry, Danielle is on to bigger and better things this week, is she not? Yeah. Have you seen some of the pictures being posted in videos?
I've been trying to follow along. I mean, you want to get her to start posting stuff on Instagram. Have her go away on vacation. My goodness. She looks like she's having a ball.
It's not a vacation, it's work. She told us she's in Cabo, she's working. But, you know, speaking of someone who works nonstop, went on vacation and on other people's vacations, is our repeat guest, the great Ryan Gano from All Access. Ryan, what's up, man? How are you? Welcome back.
What's up, guys? You know, you've always given me some good intros, but the great Ryan Gano is going to cause some significant ripples, especially at home. That's going to be a fun one to explain at some other time.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's funny. Like his job is to help people find the great vacation.
It is.
It sounds like she's having the same conversation I have to have with my wife continuously. It's like, babe, this is for work.
Yes,
like, this is literally what I do.
I'm going to be in England for 2 weeks, golfing every day. But it's
I got to scout out some good spots for our people.
Yeah, I mean, these trips aren't going to host themselves, guys.
Right.
It's like the famous Ari Gold line. It's like strip clubs, Playboy Mansion. I go where the meetings are. Right.
Not my fault that all of my meetings happen to be on like world top 100 golf courses with beers.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Ryan, some of us have lucked into a good job.
That's true.
So
that's true.
We'll call that.
So not too much going on lately with All Access, right? Pretty
pretty quiet.
Things are calm. Give us an update. Give the people an update on what you guys have going on over there.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I mean, look, I think that the tailwind, and we've talked about this before, the tailwind about golf being as cool as it's ever been in the media for good, bad, and ugly. You know, coming out of the pandemic when golf was one of the things that everybody could do, we have such a tailwind. And I've said it before that even if I was really terrible at my job, and I think I'm only quasi terrible at my job, we'd still be doing pretty well because of that tailwind. But yeah, I mean, we can't keep up. It's the hype of these trips. And what's cool is we've always been a company that sold experiences, right? So it's not just trying to sell you a tee time at County Down or a tee time at Waterville or, you know, Royal Liverpool, whatever. It's the entire experience around it. So when you go play Portrush, you got to go to the Harbor Bar and you got to ask for Marta and you've got to get the right, you know, pint poured by the right person at this place. So these experiences are way more than just the tee times now. And because of that tailwind of golf and the fact that people just flat out want to go do experiences, not knowing, you know, what's next for the world. Right. It's a pretty crazy freaking place, that they're not putting off that like bucket list trip anymore. The biggest issue we have though is what used to be that, you know, we've talked about this, that 8-month, 9-month window of booking. I mean, we are pre-selling 2025 every day, all day at this point. So, wow.
Which is wild because men typically, and I know this is predominantly men, I know there's men and women that do it, but we are not traditionally long planners, right? It's more like, and thinking about it now, like it's cold. I've been talking to a lot of guys like, we need to go somewhere and play golf, right? And that might be the tee time thing, not the setting up the full experience thing. But the seasonality, I mean, I know it's like you said, they're booking for a year out, but just in overall interest in the idea of going somewhere, I would imagine in our area, in the Philadelphia area, it spikes when it gets cold out.
Well, I mean, look, we do a lot of work with private clubs, you know, so they do things for their membership and offer these experiences and access to the different things. And, you know, the clubs here in the Northeast are pretty shut down. I mean, obviously, you know, my clubs, the course is closed and it has been for a few weeks until the spring. Yeah, so there's a lot of that. But the problem is that if you want to go somewhere good now, it's almost impossible because everything's sold out. I know. I'll give you a funny story. We had a client, a good buddy of ours, for an Oakmont guy, calls up and says, "Hey, man, I want to do a trip. I want to go to New Zealand. I want to do it right. I want to be there for a few weeks. Play everywhere, helicopters everywhere, the whole nine. Pretty kind of a baller trip." Like, all right, great. You know, we can do that. And when do you want it? He said, "I want to leave January 5th.
Of which year?
And I said 25. I said the first thing, 25, right? He's like, no, in like a couple of weeks. I'm like, oh, come on, guy. So our poor operations staff now is trying to figure out a way to pull off something like that. But, you know, because the other part of the business that we don't talk about as much is the event stuff. And for us right now, with the cold weather, and obviously people aren't taking the golf trips, but man, the Phoenix Open is just like right around the corner.
Yeah.
And the holy crap, the planning and the amount of tee times and all the skybox tickets and all the things that kind of go around that. That's what's keeping us busy now, because obviously the main golf travel season's over for the year.
Yeah, and the Super Bowl is just a short plane ride from Scottsdale area. So
well,
I
imagine
a lot of people
Scottsdale again.
Right, but I imagine a lot of people are still going to combine it,
Yeah, I mean,
try to.
Yeah, for sure. The event side of the business has a lot of corporate clients, obviously doing a lot of entertaining and that kind of stuff. So the amount of people that are just mysteriously not using Sunday tickets for the Phoenix Open, because they'll take the hop up to Vegas. I love Super Bowl. We do a lot of stuff at the Super Bowl too, but man, I hate it when they have it in Phoenix the same week as Phoenix Open.
It's a lot, man.
Absolute disaster.
How many people did you have there last year with you guys? You told me a number.
Last year was like 2,500. This year will be this year will be just over 3,000 people, I think. So
unbelievable.
And it's not even an elevated event this year.
Yeah, I don't even know what that means.
Which is wild.
At this point, which is crazy, right? I mean, look, golf is in the news, like I said, for good and bad reasons. But the Phoenix Open usually gets a pretty good amount of kind of name players. The funny thing, though, is that the reason I think that event is so spectacular outside of the party in the 16th hole is because when you go to certain events, when golf isn't the actual reason people come, it makes them those huge events. And like when you go to Augusta, it's the golf course that's the star, not necessarily the golfers.
Yeah.
When you go to the Phoenix Open, it's the party and the 16th hole that's the star, not the golfers.
Right.
I always joke. I mean, I've been to the Phoenix Open every year for the last, decade or whatever it's been. I've seen like 25 golf shots. I mean, it's just you're not there to watch the golf.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a pretty unique one. But yeah, between that, the Derby's first quarter, Super Bowl, Final Four, Masters is just after the first quarter, but all that stuff being front loaded, that's usually what our off season looks like.
Well, you mentioned the Phoenix Open and the Masters. So let's take the majors and the Phoenix Open off the table. What's the next biggest or most popular PGA Tour stop that people request to go to and build a golf trip around, let's say?
So it's funny. You'd guess them. The TPC, again, but that's the
Sawgrass.
TPC, the 16th. Yeah, sorry, TPC Sawgrass at the Players Championship. The 16th hole, or sorry, the 17th hole, the Island Green, the 17th hole at the
that's
TPC,
the star.
So it's, again, those events. The other one that's very, very good for us every year is the Tour Championship down in East Lake. That's a pretty good one. But I will tell you we don't get the phones ringing, like who makes phone calls anymore, but the amount of just inbound requests that are coming in for the Ryder Cup, Bethpage Black, 2025. I mean, I think everybody in America is pissed off that we got our butts kicked again. And that's going to be a big one, because
where are they housing everybody? There's hotels up there, but there's not a million of them.
So
people's houses,
the Hamptons, which you can't get anything, right, or you go into the city. The cool thing is, though, is that Bethpage actually has trains, so you can take the Long Island Railroad right out of New York City, get dropped off at Bethpage, and actually just be able to walk onto the golf course. So they do a pretty good job with the logistics of getting people from Midtown out to Bethpage. But most of the clients will be staying in Manhattan. It's not the best, but there's not a lot of hotels.
I took the Long Island Railroad back from Shinnecock one time after going to the U.S. Open. It took like 4.5 hours just to get into Manhattan.
So I don't think people realize, and we talk about a lot of cool golf stuff. Shinnecock is, in my opinion, one of the greatest golf courses and greatest experiences. In fact, you can't see it, but on my pin flag wall, I have Shinnecock up here. But I don't think most people realize, to get to Shinnecock, it's like one lane out, one lane back. Yeah. The traffic every day it's like Midtown Manhattan gridlock traffic. It's awful. So they always tell people the best thing you can do is take the Long Island Railroad to avoid that traffic. But they don't tell you that you have to wait for 3 different train cycles to be able to get on it.
Yeah.
And that because there's so many people, it's going to take you 5 hours to get back to the city.
And the funny part is, you think, I'll just leave like really early. They call it the trade brigade. So from like 4 a.m. to 8 a.m., it's all of the tradesmen coming in to work on these beautiful houses in the Hamptons. It literally is like rush hour traffic early in the morning just with like painters trucks and electricians trucks,
landscapers.
The trade parade is an every single day, Monday through
Every day.
Saturday thing. We went up. This was, like 2 months ago, and we had a really spoiled day. We flew up on my friend has a pretty good mode of transportation, and we played Shinnecock and National in the same day. And
wow.
It took us, so we flew up. It took 32 minutes, I think, from the airport here to fly up to I think West Hampton, I think is the airport. But it took us longer to drive like 9 miles from West Hampton to Southampton to play at Shinnecock than it did for us to fly up there.
Wow. That's crazy.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, the trade parade is a real thing up there, man.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So talk about some of the other stuff going on with the company. I know you guys have made some news of late. Talk about some of the things that are exciting to you that people would be interested in.
I don't know if anybody would be interested in that.
Of course they would.
I'm sure happy to talk about it. Well, we went through a big acquisition, and that was the first acquisition that we did, like a kind of major acquisition we've done as a business. We bought a competitor of ours called Trip Nerd, a company based out of Wisconsin that specialized in the event side of the business, not necessarily as much of the golf travel and golf experiences. But since then, it started kind of this onslaught of partnerships and kind of strategic plays that we've been putting together. We've got a few fun ones to announce coming up soon. We have DraftKings. Ironically, that I'm looking at on my screen. We will be an official experience partner of DraftKings and helping them deliver experiences to their top.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
So there's been a lot of those things. We haven't formally announced it, but this is a big deal in the golf world. So all the golf nerds should love this. We have signed Bob Ford, who is the pro emeritus, obviously, and maybe the Michael Jordan of club professionals from Oakmont Seminole, to be an official brand ambassador for All Access. And he's helping us put together a few really cool events, one of which that I'm allowed to talk about. We're going to be hosting a U.S. Open of U.S. Opens. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to any club that's ever host a U.S. Open, get 3 members and their pro, and invite them to come play in a competition against other U.S. Open hosted venues.
That's cool.
Very cool.
We're going to do it at venues that also host U.S. Opens. So year 1 will be November of next year. We'll be at Pinehurst. And we'll have, I think it's going to be either 10 or 12 teams of hosted U.S. Open venues playing each other. And Bob is sponsoring it, and the USGA is helping it be involved. And so that's pretty exciting. In golf world, Bob is as good as it gets.
That's very cool. Very cool. Now, a bunch of my buddies, we were talking about going to a Wisconsin trip because there's so many incredible golf courses in that state, and it's one of the best places to spend a summer, because it's not scorching hot.
Don't go now.
Right. Yeah, unless you want to go see a Packers game, and they're not very good this year, so forget about that. But if we were to want to book something like, is that a year in advance too?
Yeah, maybe even a little bit more. So
Really?
What's funny is that the domestic golf experiences that are so good, and there's so many. It's Whistling Straits, Sand Valley, obviously.
Yes.
And before, don't let me forget the actual question, but Lido Club.
Yeah, Lido. That's the new one.
We could do an
blowing up.
entire episode, and if you want to see the nerd and me come out, talk about the original Lido in Long Island.
Oh, Long Island, yeah.
And in Long Beach, it's McDonald, Rayner, like the largest land project at the time. Like, it was just
So cool.
unbelievable.
Whole story, everything about it. Yeah.
Oh, dude, have you seen the course?
The new
Video-
one?
yeah.
Yeah, the new videos of the course.
Yeah.
So
Incredible.
it's amazing because they did it to exact scale of the original Lido. All they
Wow.
did is separate it. So instead of having the holes close together like some of the old school, they had more land to use, obviously, so they were able to do it. But yeah, I'm super excited. We're actually doing an Evans Scholars charity event up there next year, so I'm stoked. Sorry, but it's Whistling Straits, it's Sand Valley, Stream Song, Pinehurst, Reynolds Plantation, Pebble Beach. There's a bunch more. Bandon, obviously. Even Cabot up in, whether it's St. Louis or you go to Cabot, Canada, which is another incredible place to play golf. All of them are so hyped up. And what I don't think most people realize is that it's easier for somebody who's like on the East Coast to get to Ireland or Edinburgh in Scotland or London, England, or even up in Liverpool, it's easier to get there and cheaper than it is to go to Bandon. But every single American golfer wants to go to play all those places. So the first places that start selling out are the ones that seem to be easier logistics, which are those domestic areas.
Gotcha.
So yeah, no, it's still, there's a backlog, man. If you want to do something at a high level for 2024, either really know somebody, be very, very lucky, or just start planning 2025.
Okay.
Interesting. Rod, do you feel like, I think about this a lot, I feel like Myrtle Beach was about a decade too early in their development, right? Like they built all these incredible courses, but now it has a stigma of kind of being like an old kind of thing. But if Myrtle Beach came onto the scene 2 years ago with all these courses, I think it would be the hottest destination around.
It's still awesome.
It's great. It's great.
What's funny though is that Myrtle Beach,
but no one thinks about it anymore.
It depends, man. I'm going to come off like such a golf snob here. Myrtle Beach has this kind of thing. It's either for older groups or it's for the guys that I always joke the untucked golf shirt kind of crew, and for that it can't be better, right? I mean, there's a billion courses. They're all sitting on top of each other. All of them have cart paths with curbs and golf carts, and that is very, very cool for a specific buyer, right? That is very, very cool for specific people. For us as a business, we're more into people that are playing, the historic courses, the ones that have hosted this or have that story or those kinds of things. So I do see what you're saying, but I bet you, and I don't know this to be a fact, but I bet you that Myrtle Beach is packed.
Oh yeah,
it is packed.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like with all the guys, and obviously we're spoiled. We know we're spoiled in how and where we get to golf. But for the guys, the average golfer that just goes and plays his local muni on a Saturday morning every week, that is the destination. So I bet you that they are still absolutely packed down there.
And they got a PGA Tour event heading there this year.
Where's it played?
I think is it the Dunes, maybe?
Yeah. So Dunes Club is the private course down there in Myrtle. Really cool spot. Got a couple of local friends who are members of a club here. Shout out to Mike and Megan Reynolds, by the way. Hey guys, they're members down there. It's a really cool spot.
Awesome. So talk about some of the overseas stuff. We've seen the videos on Instagram. Some of the, I don't know if it's newer things you've done or kind of packaged together, different areas, different courses. Just talk about it. I mean, I feel like that's kind of like your passion point too, right? But if you were planning one more golf trip, I feel like that's how you would plan it. So give us some more insight on that.
So it's one of those things, man. Like, because I'm blessed enough to be able to do a lot of these types of shows, and I talk to people a lot about golf, and I don't want it to come off like I'm actually trying to spin sell something. But until you've gone overseas to do a golf trip, you haven't experienced real golf. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way to American golf. We have some of the highest grouping of the greatest golf courses in the world. I mean, all of us are sitting how far away from Pine Valley as we stand right now.
Yeah.
So we're spoiled, I get it. But golf over there is different. And when you do a golf trip over there, it's different. And I'll give you a couple examples. Like when you go to Port Rush, and I don't know if we've talked about this before, so if we have, I apologize. But you go to Port Rush, and the Open's been there, and you feel the history of what's going on there and how dynamic the golf course is. But then there's like the little nuances that we don't have here. Not at least a lot of spots, but they call him the good doctor. The good doctor, there's a locker in the locker room at Port Rush, and he keeps a homemade concoction of whiskey in an IV bag with little plastic shot glasses. So he wants you to go have a wee dram before you tee off. Like, it's that stuff. It's how many courses in America, like Waterville, one of the best logos in all of golf, by the way. If you don't know that logo, Google it when we're done. But they have a hole there called the Mass Hole. And it's where the Catholics had to sneak to have church. And because it's this really low, deep depression on the golf course, that they'd sneak and hold church services there. Yeah. Wow. And now that's a green complex.
So it's not just a driver from Boston.
No, it is not. No, true, by the way. That's a whole other story about that. But yes. But the mass hole is not just a shitty driver from Boston. It's an actual thing. But there's so many of those experiences. Like there's a golf course I went for the first time. I went to the Walker Cup.
Okay.
Had never been. To anybody listening or watching this, please go see a Walker Cup. If you love the game of golf, it is the greatest pure golf venue that I've ever seen. And I've obviously gotten to do a lot of pretty cool golf things. I was at St. Andrews. It was at the old course. Me and a handful of buddies and some clients went over, and incredible experience, full stop, right? But we went there and we played a golf course called Ely. Probably haven't heard of it.
Nope.
It's where most of the RNA, kind of the fancy, RNA members over there, it's kind of like a vacation area, or it's their secondary club.
Okay.
So if they're not playing on the old course or they're not at the RNA for a function, they go to Ely. And it's this crotchety, old, creaky, borderline smelly clubhouse that is perfect. Perfect. It's got like a drive-up window inside in the hallway where you go and order beers and they like hand them to you through like a half door. It's a weird golf course and quirky as get out, but we don't have places in the U.S.
Right.
like Ely. So, man, I could literally bore you with the best golf trip I've ever done to Northern Ireland. The second best golf trip I've ever done isn't in Ireland or Scotland. Believe it or not, it's in the south of London. It's Sunningdale Old and New. It's Swinley Forest. It's Walton Heath. It's Royal St. George's Hill, Royal Sinkports. It's 7 world top 100s, all within like an hour and a half of each other. And nobody talks about it. It's the second best golf trip I've ever seen. But it's an endless amount of golf and experiences. And until you go do it and play golf the way that candidly golf was kind of invented to be played, I think that people who love this game, who love the sport, who love talking about it and playing it and competing and drinking and doing all the stuff associated with it, until you go overseas to play golf, you haven't really done it yet.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking ahead to
when are you coming?
The Ryder Cup when it's in Ireland. Like that's circled on my calendar. I need to go. I need to go to.
Well,
that.
when are you going to come over and play? I've given you an invite 2 years in a row.
You have. I mean, it was maybe like the day before the flight, but hey, still.
Hey, I will tell you, this year's trip, it's we always go third week of July. We go right around the time the Open Championships there, and we're going to the northwest of Ireland for the first time. And again, for all the golf nerds who love this, write down this name or go watch the YouTube video of a place called Enniscrone. So we're going up and we're playing St. Patrick's, which debuted, I think, at number 47 on the world's top golf course list. Our good friends, the Casey family, own a place up there called Rosapenna, and they have St. Patrick's, which is a Tom Doak course right next to an old Tom Morris course. So we're going to go up there. We're playing Enniscrone. We're playing Ballyliffin. There's places you've never heard of, but go watch some of the videos of the northwest of Ireland. Mind-numbingly good.
Wow. Yeah, got to check that out.
That must be why the place in Chester County is called Enniscrone. It's just a name after.
Yeah. They stole it.
Yep.
Yeah, Enniscrone, I think has been there a long time. I got to be honest. I don't know the history of the golf course, but I will tell you, of all of the beautiful, dramatic drone footage that's come from overseas golf, and there's a lot of it. We post it every day. Enniscrone is the most impressive drone video of a golf course I've ever seen.
Wow.
And I've never been there, so I'm excited. I love going and experiencing something new for the first time. So,
very cool. Well, listen, we also want to get your thoughts because you work in the game. You talk to a lot of people in the game that play at many different levels, that run golf courses, that play on tour. Can you kind of sum up in your mind, where things are heading in the professional golf world in any kind of way?
So I think I can, but I think it's probably coming from an extremely arrogant, like, I don't know, but I think I know kind of situation. I think it's bad for golf. I think it's a bad look. I love John Rahm. I got to hang out with John at Topgolf for the Phoenix Open last year, and John's a shoe and watch guy. And the only thing I talk about more than golf are shoes and watches.
Right up your alley.
Oh, yeah. So he and I we literally sat and just kind of BS'd at Topgolf for an hour just nerding out about shoes and watches. Seeing him go oddly made me feel sad. The rumor about Tony Finau leaving. You know,
Apparently that's not happening.
Yeah,
thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but
at least for now.
Yeah, exactly.
The idea,
a lot of times it's not happening.
These guys say. You can't trust anything.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what. But you don't know. But the idea that there's infighting in a sport that is supposed to have the virtue of being the honorable, the gentleman's game, it just, in my opinion, feels wrong. I think it's all bad for golf. That doesn't mean that there hasn't been some good come out of it. I think the PGA Tour, I don't want to say lost its way, but it wasn't maybe operating quite as it should. The game does need to get modernized. There's no reason that you can't keep all of the beautiful traditions that this game has, yet not still be able to get a little bit more modern. My gut feeling says inevitably there's going to be somebody raise several $1 billion, pump it into the PGA, so the PGA can start paying its players kind of the market of what it's supposed to be. And inevitably there's going to be a merge. I feel like it has to kind of happen at some point. And when it merges, my guess is, and again, this is super arrogant because I don't know this, but will they have, a few team events per year? So will they have like the normal PGA Tour, and then they'll have a handful of the team events that are a little bit more wear shorts, listen to music, have drones delivering cocktails, like, which again, I don't love. I'm more of a traditionalist, but I do think that inevitably there's got to be some sort of merge, because, show me a successful league that has had its best players play in two completely separate entities. It just doesn't seem like it's sustainable to me.
Now, that said, is there any demand for a trip to some of these overseas live events?
Zero.
Mm.
And don't anybody come at us and yell at me about that. I have had zero requests to do anything that is live overseas. And the only request I've gotten for live in the US is when friends or clients live right next to a place that's going to have an event.
Yeah.
I've got some great friends. Ironically, my watch guy, he lives in Chicago. So when it was at Rich Harvest Farms, he's like, "Hey man, you can hook me up." We live an hour from Trump Bedminster, where they had an event. So some of the local folks, were like, "Hey RG, can you hook us up there?" Outside of that, we've had zero requests. And being that we do a lot of corporate work, the idea that there's no corporations that we've dealt with that have asked us proactively for it.
It's telling.
It is.
Yeah.
Without getting myself in trouble, I agree with you.
Yeah, I hear you. Harry fights with the live people on Twitter all the time because they're they're special.
Thank God, I only have like 7 Twitter followers. None of them are going to yell at me about this, so that works out perfect.
So the other big story, which was the biggest story until the John Rahm stuff that happened, was the rollback of the golf ball, right? And for you, who's a traditionalist, right, who plays some of these old courses over there, which was kind of how the game started. Where do you stand on this whole situation?
I cannot firmly more not give a shit. No, and again, it's one of those things I do love. Look, our golfers hitting the ball so far, they're overpowering golf courses. Sure. Tell Marion that.
Yeah.
Plus
one won the U.S. Open. Yeah,
exactly right. Hell, my course, which is not on the caliber of Marion, but I think Bernard Longer won they had a senior PGA event at Cricket Club.
Yep.
And he won it, I think, at 1 over.
The Constellation.
Yeah, there you go. So, do I wish that people weren't able to hit the ball quite as far as they can? Sure. I have a handful of friends who are World Long Drive guys. They're not on the tour. There's a whole lot more to it than how far you hit your tee ball or your, if you can hit your 8-iron 190 yards, well, God bless you.
Right.
Funny, I can hit my 8-iron 110, 60, 160, 140, because I never hit it in the same spot twice in a row. But I don't care. I don't think it's terribly consequential to the game of golf. I know for the average hack like us, whether I can hit it 3 yards further or 5 yards shorter is not going to affect how quickly I order my first beer after the round of golf.
Awesome. Yeah, I kind of align with that as well. And when they said it would affect us in 2030, I'm like, well, I can't even think that far ahead.
I don't know if I'll be around by then.
I'm aging at such a rapid pace at this point that I will be. I may not be swinging a golf club in the next couple of years.
Just get your bucket list trips in before then.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the idea.
Right. I've got Australia and New Zealand that I have yet to do. I really have to do them. But I will.
The Australia golf trips look incredible.
Yeah,
First of all, I'm petrified. I would need to rent a shotgun for the week to have on me while I play because all the shit.
Because a kangaroo will come out and box
you. Everything in Australia can kill you. So you have to.
The whole middle of the country is just death.
A really good friend of mine who, knock on wood, is going to be joining the team here at All Access in the next couple of weeks. He just got back, and he's done everything. He's played the U.S. Top 100. I'm pretty sure he's almost done with the World Top 100. He's a member of some brilliant clubs. He's played everywhere. He said that the Melbourne portion of that trip, because he did New Zealand, Sydney, Melbourne. He even did the whole Kings Island thing. But he said the Melbourne portion of that trip was the greatest trip that he's ever done. Wow. Now, it is a problem that it's like a 17-day flight to get there. But he's like, once you can stomach how long and how far it is to get there, it's just that good of a trip. So I got to do that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good golf, man.
I know.
Yeah, there is.
Really wish I wish this is all we could do every day. Is plan or not. It's like
win the Powerball and just do that. Then we could buy everything from me, and that would be great. We just traveling around and doing everything.
Well, I think that the beauty of it too is, a buddy's golf trip is the time that you have of the planning and the group chats and talking about it and lining stuff up. Like the joy and the happiness that brings. Forget about the 7, 8, 10 days you're there, which is incredible, and you make memories for a lifetime. But I just feel like I still have a group chat with the guys we went to Casa de Campo with that they're not all. They all know me, but didn't really know each other, a couple of them. But still, we text each other all the time. The bonds you make on these trips are incredible. And just that planning of it and talking about what you're going to do is exciting.
So what's funny is, to that note, the trip we did last summer, the one that you did not come on, was the southwest of Ireland. And I got back, and one of the first things that my kids and my wife asked me, they're like, Dad, what was your favorite part? The best part of that golf trip was the bus ride home after Old Head. We were playing music, dancing around like idiots, drinking beers on the bus, and talking shit and the stories. And it's the stories that have been happening now 6 months post-trip.
Right.
I don't know if you just heard it. My phone just went off a minute ago. Sorry, I thought I had it on mute. And it was a group thread of a bunch of guys that were in Ireland with us. And I'm certain it's talking shit about something that happened on that trip last year. And that's the part of the experience, that we look forward to. Yes, I do this for a living, but I'm a consumer too, man. Yeah. It's the best. I love it.
Harry, what would you say is your best away golf experience you've had?
Away golf? I haven't had that many, but I mean,
well, we can remedy that.
That's the whole point. I've gone to Myrtle Beach a few times, and I've had
you played Torrey Pines, right? Didn't you go out to?
Yeah, I did. I went to Palm Springs.
That.
I went to Palm Springs, and that was outstanding. And I've done San Diego with Torrey Pines and Poway. We did two. We only did 2 courses. We were only there for 3 days, but little trips like that. But there's so many that I would love to put together.
So let me ask you this question: what is the best course you've ever played? And if you could plan the getaway trip, which one would it be?
Well, the best course I ever played is Pine Valley, but the second one is Ridgewood, is my favorite, my second favorite, up in North Jersey. I mean, you could do a trip in just the metro New York area. You wouldn't even have to go out to Long Island. You could just do North Jersey, Westchester County.
But here's the crazy part. So I'm a Tillinghast guy.
Yes.
Did Ridgewood.
Sure.
Not the best Tillinghast in even the state of New Jersey. I love Ridgewood. But have you played Somerset Hills?
No, I have not. I knew that's where you were going. I've not.
One of my best friends just got into Baltus for All. I have a love. That's another Tillinghast. Yeah. I'm at Tillinghast at Philly Cricket Club.
Sure.
I'm at Wingfoot all the time. That's a Tillinghast. Bethpage Black's
Bethpage Black, right? Yeah.
Ridgewood's a Tillinghast.
Yep.
But the best Tillinghast ever, better than San Francisco Golf Club, better than Baltimore Five Farms, is Somerset Hills up in beautiful, dirty Jersey. It is so good.
A lot of great golf in dirty Jersey. I mean,
Yeah,
that Hollywood, and you go to Walter Travis. I mean, we could geek out on all this
Due
stuff.
process.
Yeah, there
It's
you
a
go.
little off the beaten path. I love.
But there's so many. All right, so but what would be the trip if you were going to knock off the one trip, the getaway, the you're on a plane and you're staying in a hotel to play golf for a few days? Which one is it?
I'll tell you mine because I have it. It's planned, and I'm fortunate because it's through iHeart. We're doing a client trip at Pebble Beach, and we're playing all the courses there. We have a concert at night for our clients, and I've never played any of the courses there. I've been there on my honeymoon just to have brunch. So to me, I am pumped about getting to check that off the list.
That's amazing, and you're going to absolutely love it. And once we get Harry's answers, I'm going to really do shout on that for 1 second.
Yeah, I would second that. I've been out to that area several times. I've been to the AT&T, but I've never played the golf course or any of those others in the immediate area. And you wouldn't have to drive 20, 30 minutes, and you'd play 4 or 5 of the greatest golf courses you'll ever play. So that one, and then I always joke about this on the show because I would never go to Scotland, because if I went, I would bring a week's worth of sideways rain, and it would probably be just an awful trip. But I would love to do that. If I knew you could guarantee me sun, Ryan, for 5 or 6 days, I'm doing the road.
I've been the 3rd week of July. I've been overseas. It's been, 7, 8 straight years now.
Mm-hmm.
I have played golf in the rain maybe 3 rounds.
That's it.
Now, don't get me wrong. You're gonna get some weather, whether it's rain, whether it's wind, whether it's cold. You don't know. But what I'll also tell you is, if it's raining here, I don't go on a golf course.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not.
You go overseas and you're prepared for it. You've got a rain suit, you've got rain gloves.
Yeah.
It is almost kind of like the first time I went to Scotland, we did not see rain for 7 straight days. I played the old course in shorts and a golf shirt and got sunburnt. And I felt like I got robbed. I felt like...
Oh, you wanted a little bit of it.
You're very pale. So that's,
I really tan up in the summer.
You better watch those fluorescents in your office there, big guy.
Yeah, seriously.
They might
You got to turn on the light. The glare is getting bad. No, but Moose, hold on. I have an admission here.
Go ahead.
I own a golf travel business. I have played the majority of the greatest golf courses in the world, and I have never played Pebble Beach.
Wow.
So I've only been to Monterey 1 time.
Wow.
And I flew in late at night, drove down, woke up, played Cyprus.
Yeah.
Went to go play Pebble Beach, but it was late in the day, and we'd only get in about 12 holes. And I was actually with my buddy JR Smith, and we were sitting and having a beer at Pebble Beach when my phone rings, and a buddy of mine who's a member of Monterey Peninsula calls. And it's like, hey, I heard you're in town with JR. Do you guys want to come over and play there instead? So I literally left lunch at Pebble to go play Monterey, played, had dinner, caught my red eye, came home. That's the only time I've been to Monterey.
Wow.
So I'm very much looking forward to playing Pebble Beach myself at some point later.
It's just doing that big par 3.
Oh, geez.
Over the water.
Oh, I have a video of this, and JR's going to be, he'd be so pissed off if he hears me say this. The wind was into us pretty good that day.
Oh.
And it was like 240 something carry.
Uh-huh.
And I hit driver. And what's bad though is that I hit driver just left, and I was short of there's a bunker there on the left, and I had to hit like a full swing Phil Mickelson flop shot over the bunker. Luckiest shot of my whole life, hit it to like 2 feet, made par. I have a video of JR making fun of me for hitting driver. So he gets up there, tough guy, with his 3-wood and blows 2 in the Pacific. Yeah. So I won the hole.
Exactly.
And what's funny though is that shot is not as overwhelming as 15, right? That's the 16th hole.
I believe so. Yeah.
So 15, because everything's kind of not inland, but you can see coast, you can see water. But when you come up 14. The greatest tree on any golf course I've ever seen is on 14. I don't know what it's called, but it's the most crazy thing I've ever seen. And then you come around the corner, and it's just like this. I've only had it 3 times on a golf course. I had it for all 18 holes at Pine Valley. I had it when you crest the hill, that photo right here, when you crest the hill of Royal County Down, number 9 at County Down in Northern Ireland, and when you come around that corner at 15 at Cypress, whew, man, that was different.
It's an incredible part of the world over there.
Yeah,
it is breathtaking. Like you drive that 17-mile drive or whatever it is. It's like you just can't believe that
People
you're not
live here?
in Europe somewhere, or something, right? Like the south of France.
I don't know how they afford it, but they do.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
But listen, if you can deal with the weather in Monterey Peninsula, you can deal with the weather overseas.
Okay.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
It's just as there's no rhyme or reason to it. You don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, everyone, make sure you follow All Access GTE on Instagram. They post some amazing videos and content about some of the trips they do. Head over to allaccessgte.com. Let these folks help you. You will not regret it. You'll do it the right way, and you will talk about it forever in your group chat.
Yes, I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Ryan.
Absolutely. All right, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Swing It and Ding It. Always great to talk to our friend Ryan Gano, who, what an awesome profession. What an awesome company to own. Because he's doing this stuff. Research and development,
right.
Harry. We all have to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, that is a big deal. And think about the selling point that must be. It's like, not only do I own the company, I'm a client. Kind of remember that guy?
The hair club.
Decades ago. But I'm serious. I joke, but it's like, listen, I've been on these trips. I've been to this bar.
I've come over the crest, right? The stuff he was telling us, right?
I was visualizing that stuff with him, and I'm sure you were too, as he's talking about that. And you're like, yeah, that is the coolest part. That's what the trip, and that's how the trip lives on.
Yeah.
And I think that's, it's like you say with the group chats and stuff, it's great.
Yeah, tremendous. So we touched on some of this stuff with Liv. It was good to get his perspective because he talks to a lot of people in the game of golf. But I know there's some other stuff going on this week. The Finau thing, which we mentioned, which he seemed to put the kibosh on.
Yeah, it was interesting because I saw the quotes come out on Saturday when they're down there doing the Grant Thornton, which he was a part of. And, he was asked about it. And I credit whoever asked him at whatever press availability. And his answer was, I have nothing to say right now, end quote. And when I saw that, I was like, whoa, like he's gone. He plays golf a lot with John Rahm out in Scottsdale. They both belong, I believe, to the same club. They live near each other. They're good buddies. John Rahm's assembling a team on Live. I'm thinking, oh, man, that kind of an answer was like not what I wanted to hear, being a PGA Tour guy. And then Monday, he tweets out, I'm here to stay, hashtag I'm not leaving. And he's, see you in Hawaii. So with that, everybody went, a sigh of relief because it would be another big loss to the PGA Tour. He's got 5 or 6 wins now. He's playing really well. He's one of those guys that's very likable. And
I'm just thinking the same thing.
Yeah,
because a lot of let's face it, there's a lot of Live guys that I love.
Right.
But there's a lot that are not the most likable guys in the world.
Exactly.
We could list them if we wanted to, but we don't have to, right?
No, but he'd be one where you'd be like, man, I was liking that. He's sort of like a Max Homa type to me.
Yeah.
In a way where you're like, man, I just feel like he's a nice guy and I'd hate to lose him. But apparently he's staying. But like I said with you and Ryan a little while ago, I don't know that I'd trust anything that comes out of these guys' mouth because the more I go back and listen to what John Rahm said over the last couple of months and then what ended up happening, I'm thinking it was a negotiating ploy and we were all played. And I hate thinking that, but I go back there and I'm listening to him, like, listen to what he said.
Yeah.
And then he flips and it's like, but was he just negotiating a bigger deal? I don't know.
It's so crazy because I don't think we've ever seen anything like this. It's literally a hostile takeover from a foreign country of an American. Well, it's not an American sport; it's a global sport, but PGA Tour is based here. You can't really put your point to anything else. I mean, there's other examples in F1 and stuff like that, but not to this level where they're literally disrupting the entire sport on the professional level.
Think about if Piff all of a sudden became a Canadian Football League fan and started investing and buying into that league, and they started poaching NFL players. It'd be the same thing,
right? Yeah, pretty nuts,
crazy.
Talk about some of the other stuff. I know our boy Elbert had a little change on the bag.
Yeah, Ludwig Aubert has hired a new caddy, and he's a name that geeks like us know. Joe Scavron, who was, of course, most recently on Tom Kim's bag, and prior to that was Ricky Fowler's right-hand man for many years, and is a very well-respected looper in the game. So, he's jumping to open. You can tell these guys get an opportunity to jump on the hot bag. Now, think about where Tom Kim is. Like, Tom Kim's an accomplished young player.
Yeah.
Had the great President's Cup. He's got a couple of wins. He's a very likable guy. And a Q rating type of dude. He's like, I'm going with Ludwig because I think Ludwig's going to win majors real quick.
Yeah. Pretty nuts, man.
Yeah.
Pretty wild. There's been a lot of that. There's been a lot of changes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, he seems like you hate to crown people too early. I think it's happened. We've seen it a lot, but he seems to have everything that you would need to be successful.
I think it's a pretty safe
basis.
stock to buy if you're gonna buy some Ludwig stock.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll wrap with the Charlie Woods Invitational, right? I think they should just rename that the PNC Championship. I mean, that's the only reason why you tune in to see. All right, how's this young kid year over year with these giant mitts? I don't know where this kid gets these paws from. Do you ever see the hands on that kid?
But, I know. Yeah.
It'd be curious to see just his progression. That's really, I mean, I like seeing John Daly and his son and some of the other. It's a feel good event, right?
It is.
It's a hit and giggle in a way, but it's a feel good event.
It is. I also like to see how long Nick Price's son's hair is, for this go around. I understand he's a beekeeper now, in addition to being a surfer. So I mean, that guy lives the life. Yeah. But yeah, you mentioned it. It's the Charlie Woods Invitational, and shout out to Charlie and his high school team, who won the Florida State Championship a couple of weeks ago at their level. That I think there might be like single A or double A or something like here in Pennsylvania, but they won the state championship, and he was a big part of that. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, they're at the Ritz-Carlton. My wife just played this golf course a couple of weeks ago. Said it's
great
beautiful,
resort,
but very generous off the tee. It would be a great spot for you and me to go out and have fun. But they only do 2 rounds. It's Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah,
and it's good TV viewing. I guess we're going to have some NFL football on Saturday, and I think some of the crappy bowl games start. But I'll tune in and watch a little bit of this.
Yeah, absolutely. So will I. All right, good stuff, Harry. We'll be back next week. Danielle will be back with us, lining up some more guests. But we know that if you guys are like us, you're thinking about where can you go play golf next, and we really wanted to have Ryan back on to kind of present that option for people as a great way to get that done. So good
lots
stuff.
Of big things happening at All Access GTE, man.
That's right. All right, we'll be back next week. Hopefully you can get out there and swing it and ding it if it's 49 degrees or higher, right, Harry?
We need a 4. Got to give me a 4.
And low winds. All right, we'll be back next week. Take care.